Hi, team. Until I get my summer recording schedule figured out, we're just going to do these poorly lit nighttime political catch-ups. So, here is what I thought was really important today. And since, spoiler alert, I still don't have a Mark Meadows puppet, I'm going to give you some bonus George Santos update at the very end. Okay, so we'll get some googly eyes. So today the news was the big news. Well, not quite the big news, and a lot of speculation, but what we know is this. We know that there were meetings held that are generally held at the last minute. The meetings where the prosecutor invites the target and or their lawyers to a meeting and says, tell me why I should indict you. That meeting has happened. So, actually those meetings, there were a couple. This means is for the grand jury to be reconvening. They are in all likelihood preparing to hear Jack Smith's final request for, official request for an indictment, and they bring down their decision. Now, this is specifically the Mar-a-Lago documents case, and the charges that will be brought down include, should there be an indictment, will include espionage and obstruction of justice. And now we start talking about Mark Meadows. Mark Meadows' testimony here is going to be important because he was Donald Trump's chief of staff. If you watched The West Wing, he was Donald Trump's Leo McGarry. So he was the gatekeeper. He was the one who was running the day-to-day while the big man was issuing instructions. So it's been thought that Meadows has testified in front of this grand jury. And it's also being speculated with, I guess you say, educated speculation that he's doing it with a deal. His lawyer came out in the press and was like, he didn't plead guilty to anything. How dare you? And then wouldn't say anything about whether or not he had immunity of some kind. So that's on the table. And if we're making a mafia analogy, this is as close as you get to the Don, right? Like, this is the guy that they needed to get, to flip, to really make this stuff stick. So it's gonna be super interesting to see who is in these indictments, what all is handed down, who's going to be included. Now, it's being split between Florida and Washington, D.C. They're going to bring charges in both places. Not the same charges against the same people, but there's staff down in Mar-a-Lago, and there were crimes specifically committed down in Florida. So they're going to have courts down in Florida look at the Florida crimes, and they're going to have courts in D.C. look at the D.C. crimes. That's what it's looking like at this point. That actually could work out well for Jack Smith in lots of different ways. You know, we'll see how that all shakes out. But he certainly has a better chance of getting a friendlier jury if these cases are tried in Washington, D.C. But you can't get the people who are Florida local because it's a jurisdiction thing. Things have the crime, courts have jurisdiction over where the crime essentially occurred. So, ears to the tracks on that one, because the train, it is a-comin'. However, I promised you googly eyes, so let's talk George Santos. Now, Mr. Santos here is in trouble because he is a lying liar who lies all the time. No, but it's because he's committed all sorts of crimes. He's committed, allegedly, financial crimes, election, different levels of election fraud. There's all sorts of things that he's in trouble for. Wire fraud, that's a good one. But he isn't sitting in jail right now while he's waiting to go to court because he was loaned money for his bail, and there were 3 guarantors who promised that, we're backing this. We've got him. Everything's cool. But they've been secret until well, maybe Friday, but they're coming out. So here's the story behind that. We don't know who these 3 people are. We don't know how, we know they're invested into him for the tune of $500,000, but we don't know what else he may owe. They could be members of the House of Representatives. They could be foreign assets. They could be... It's just a bajillion things that could be going on here. Very few of them good. So what we do know is that the names have been kept secret. The names have been kept under seal until some media companies asked for their release, because they are public record. So the judge gives Santos the opportunity to respond, and through his lawyers, he says, so you can't expect them to reveal their names. They would be in danger. This is a terrible situation to be putting them in. And then Santos comes riding to the rescue saying, I would rather be imprisoned than risk those, my loyal subject. No, but yeah, he was like, no, I would rather go to jail than release their names. Does anyone for a second think that George Anthony Devolder Santos is going to go to jail for anyone else if he has the opportunity to weasel out of it? No way. So he has until Friday to appeal this decision to the DC Circuit Court. Based on, what we've seen of the DC Circuit Court lately, I don't think he's got much of a chance on this one. And what's going to be real cool is when we find out exactly whose pockets George Santos's hands have been playing in. Stay tuned, like and follow for more.